Hello there, Relationship Matters family. I'm so excited to come to you through this video in my newsletter. I just find videos easier to watch than reading sometimes. So I want to drop in once in a while live. It's actually Friday, June 28th, and I'm hoping to get this out today, if not, certainly by Monday. But I just wanted to pop in to your inbox here and just thank you, first and foremost. Thank you for being a subscriber to this newsletter. Thank you for your continued support. And to all of those of you who are clients or people who, have watched me speak somewhere or however you came here, I just want to say that you're extremely valuable to me. Several years ago, I was really kind of in a turning point and I was questioning, especially the COVID thing, I think triggered some of it. I had written the book Relationship Matters, and yeah, I had released it, and it, got some traction, and I started doing some coaching because I was laid off from the church I was pastoring, and so I was doing some coaching, and of course that developed into what I do today. It's interesting, eh? Through the fire, through trials, sometimes through hard times, sometimes God will use that to get us to where He needs us, so that He can launch us into what He's got next. And I really feel like that's what's happened to Sandy and I in our lives, and many times over. And so, as I was pondering this coming in, I just had in March had my 63rd birthday, and it must have been, it was a when I was 60 or turning 60, I started thinking about legacy. I started thinking about what kind of legacy do I want to leave? Now, I knew for a fact that it wasn't going to be a financial one to my kids. I know Proverbs says that, blessed are those who leave an inheritance to their kids. My kids are going to have a few bones to fight over, and that's about it. But one time years ago, I was just mentioned to one of my kids, I just said, hey, I wish I was lamenting. I wish I could give them a financial legacy. And they kind of replied and said, you know what? The legacy you've left us is far greater. And that's what got me thinking about legacy and how do I want to spend my years from 60 to 70. And that's when I decided I wanted to leave a legacy. I wanted to intentionally leave a legacy, to start to do things that actually will outlive me. So instead of just like going through the busyness of life, and at the time I was pastoring a church, and it's not that for years we weren't investing in people and impacting people, helping. God used us in tremendous ways. We're very honored in how God allowed us to, just work alongside Him and in His ministry for all those years. But I was thinking about this legacy idea, like what are my grandkids if they asked about this old great grandpa back there, what kind of legacy do I want to be known for? And that's what got me writing the book. I started writing Relationship Matters. I have three others in the pipeline that I'm actually putting out there now so that I can get held accountable. So please uh, feel free to ask me if you're talking to me, or send me a message reminding me, hey, you said you were writing three more. The next one's going to be, so this one was Relationship Matters. My position on that. Everything flows out of relationship. I think it's the most important thing. If we want to have a healthy community, we need a healthy church. If we want a healthy church, we need healthy families. If we want healthy families, we need healthy relationships. So everything flows from that point because God was relational. He created us for relationship. I'll get off that horse. The point is that it started with Relationship Matters, and then the next one's going to be Parenting Matters, and then something, that's really been on my heart lately is Leadership Matters. We have a leadership crisis in the world, and so I've been spending more and more time doing leadership coaching because I think it's really important. And then the last one's going to be Faith Matters, and that's going to be our testimony, our whole story, with stories of faithfulness of God in our lives that is mind blowing. And some of you have heard my stories, but testimonies of those times. And so I want to capture it in writing as well. So we started this journey of legacy, intentional legacies. The book. That's why I've got online courses, and I'm going to keep adding more and more online courses, keep having the books being released. And I want to continue to capture what God's speaking to me through this newsletter, through other ways. And so that's why today I just want to encourage you. Think about your legacy. You're never too young to think about that. I wish I had thought about it earlier. I didn't. And I think if I was intentional in the legacy I want to leave, listen, I want to tell you something very important. Legacy is not about me. Legacy is about what God did through me. It's what he did in me. That's the legacy. It's about him. It points to his grace and to his love. But the legacy is important to pass on. And this morning, actually, I just came from officiating in a funeral, and I didn't know the family. They were referred to me, and that was the thing that came out. My message was entitled, you know, the power of legacy, and I just wanted to share what their mom, their grandma, their great grandma, the legacy that she left them was so rich and so powerful. But here's the thing that I said this, and it really struck me as I was preparing, and that's this: the quality, the value, the impact of a legacy is actually how it's lived out in the next generation. How impactful my legacy is will be how well it's lived out in the next generation. Now, I realize that can actually put pressure on my kids and grandkids, but it's not meant to put pressure on. It's just meant to give them a gift. I want them to know how I think. I want them to know how I process things. I want them to know what made a difference in my life. I want them to know that faith is so important. I want them to know that faithfulness is important, and to be kind, and to all those things. And so I felt compelled. I was actually going to do this as a live, but then I wanted to just speak to my Relationship Matters community first. I want you guys getting content first. And that is this: I want to challenge you and inspire you to actually start thinking about your legacy. What stories could you capture? My parents were missionaries in Africa, and I told them when I was younger, you should write a book, because I grew up hearing all the stories of amazing stories of their life, and they never did that. And now they're gone to heaven. Now, is their legacy being lived out? Yes, their legacy has been passed on, and certainly much of what I do, I can point to the fact I had a legacy. I had, by the way, legacies are both negative and positive, but you got to choose the positive and live that part out, and forgive the negative. And so, but they left me enough of a legacy, and I believe that's part of why I do what I do. So, yes, some of it got through, but I would love to be able to share with my kids and grandkids the stories that I heard growing up. So, with AI and all the other tools we have today, I want to encourage you, start recording your legacy. Start to be intentional about leaving a legacy. Don't leave relationships to chance. Don't assume that people are getting what you're laying down. Don't assume that you are actually, that you're making an impact. When you do it intentionally, it increases the power of it. It increases the efficiency of it and the impact of it, to be honest. So I want to encourage you to start to build that legacy through conversations with your family, through conversations with those most important to you, and then start recording those stories. Even a journal, start journaling some of those things, so that today was so wonderful that this funeral, one of the sons was going through mom's stuff and found some things that she had written down. So not only did we hear tributes and words from her children and grandchildren, we actually heard her words. And that's always so powerful. The message I spoke was actually taken from verses I found underlined in her Bible. And I remember even with my mom and dad's services, which I officiated, I remember that's what I saw with, by looking what they underlined or highlighted, it really informed me. But man, I wish I could have, finding those notes and finding those kinds of things was so powerful. So be intentional. No matter what your age, I want you to know every day you have an opportunity to make an investment in the people you love, in your relationships. And that investment will have a return on it, which is called legacy. So there you go. The power of intentional legacy is that it goes on generation to generation to generation. And so that was my message for you today. That was my heart to share, was that what I just shared with you about the power of legacy. And so I hope that helps. There's some practical things. Just start journaling, start having conversations with your family and pass stories on to them. Tell them stories from your life. And it's just so powerful. If you can, start to write a book, or at least put in journal, but maybe write a book. But those are some ways. You can start making recordings with the technology now. It's easy. Just use your phone or whatever and make some recordings. Maybe do something like this. Why don't you make a video to your family today, each individual family member, and send them a video and tell them what you think of them. Tell them how much you love them, why you love them, why you are the person you are. What a legacy that would be. We don't know when things happen. We can have a tragedy happen at any moment. Let's start to get intentional with building legacy. And I tell you, it'll do something in your heart too. I can tell you that every time I teach, speak, preach, whatever it is, coach, every single time when I draw on a story from my own life as an illustration, it just like goes deeper again inside me, and I get ministered to through how the goodness of God, because I'm sharing the testimony of God. And that can't be replaced by anything. That's so powerful. So why don't you do that even today? Maybe that's a call to action, is to make a video for your loved ones and tell them how much you love them and why you love them, and maybe tell them a little bit about you and why you are the way you are, why you think the way you think. How has God impacted your life? Or how has, others impacted your life? Maybe share a poignant moment from your childhood. Maybe a youth leader spoke into your day one day, or spoke into your life one day, or a teacher, and it changed the way you think about things and it helped you. Those are the kinds of things. Pass it on. Don't keep it for yourself. Pass it on. All right. Thanks so much for listening. Again, I love you all. Thank you so much for being subscribers. You are really treasures in my life. We'll talk to you next time.